I got notification today from the New York State that the Lake Ontario Relief and Recovery Homeowner Recovery Program applications expire at 5 p.m. on Friday, September 29th. Anyone who has not submitted an application must do so by 5 p.m. on Friday, September 29th to be eligible. And I have a whole list of how to apply and what counties are affected and whether you're eligible for support. So if anybody is a homeowner on the river or the lake, I have the information here.
Can we put it on our website?
Yes.
Thank you. I know a lot of people that are affected by that.
Okay. Supervisor Broderick, the National Grid LED light upgrades. And it's actually something I think that I don't know, yeah, that should be under Councilman Morial. So I will add that. Go ahead. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, I met with a representative from Lime Energy. He's actually through National Grid to retrofit the fixtures in the town hall, senior center, the police department, and the highway with new LED lights in Dallas. The cost of the project is basically going to be $44,629. The grant is 60% paid by the grid. National Grid would be a grant of $26,777. The town expense, $17,852. And the annual savings per year to the town with the new lights is $10,500 a year. So in less than 2 years, we'll recoup the money we spent, and we'll have all new lights in Dallas. And we didn't do the sewer, Jeff, because you use too much power on this project. This is not through the grid. This is through Lime Energy was representative through the grid. He said your building doesn't qualify because of the power usage. So you said you're not that old yet anyways on the lights, right? Not you personally.
No, we're okay.
I'd like to make a motion to accept,
Can I began looking into the issue of whether this falls within the procurement
right. I did.
laws of New York State. And there's just something else that I think I need to look into prior to approving or giving a legal go-ahead to go forward with this.
Well, I talked to the representative because other towns around here have done it. They're the sole source. for
I
national
talked to him
grid.
as well, and he was supposed to provide me a letter that indicated they were the sole source. His letter didn't indicate that clearly. I am going to National Grid to make sure that they are the sole approved contractor for this program.
When are you going to do that?
I've reached out to them, they have not called me back yet.
Can we move it subject to attorney approval?
See, this is funding 60%. When the money runs out, it runs out so quick. It
Yeah.
might not be there in 2 weeks.
I understand, I'm just trying to make sure that the town
I
goes through the
understand.
proper procurement procedures prior to moving
Make a
forward.
motion.
on
Make
that.
a motion subject to attorney approval.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept Lime Energy's proposal, subject to attorney approval for the replacement of lights in Dallas and in town buildings.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Oh, quick question. Where's the 17,000 coming from, Marty?
Oh, Marty.
This would be very eligible for the hydro.
Want to include that in the motion?
70,000.
Okay.
For the hydro?
$17,852 town expense will be covered under the hydro money.
Second.
Seconded?
How much did you
Okay.
say?
$17,852.
Actually, it's $17,137.
Oh, I'm sorry, the discount.
Because we will get a discount by paying it one time instead of paying it all the time.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Brian, you will expedite that if you could.
I'm attempting to, I'll call again tomorrow.
Nice job, Marty.
Let me know if you don't get through, if you could in the next day or two, and I'll make some calls.
Absolutely.
All right, I know you're busy too.
Nice job, Rob.
Yeah. Under legal, public hearing, chapter 360, special use.
That one, we need to schedule a.
Microphone, please.
On that one, we need to schedule a public hearing as well. And I talked to Donna, I believe we can get this noticed and have a public hearing at our next meeting on October 12th. It's just unclear to me what time we are having that meeting, because I know it's not on our regular days, it's the
6
6 o'clock meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Then for 6 PM that night, public hearing.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then the water district resolution.
creation of the town of Lewiston Water District and the project that we've been talking about for the past several months or a year. The first resolution that I presented to you is the final order establishing the water district. It recites many of the same things as we did at the last meeting where you did resolutions on this. But because of the way the law is set up, you have to do this final order establishing the district after a 30-day period is passed without anyone circulating a petition for a referendum, which I haven't heard that they've done that. So that is the purpose of this resolution tonight.
Make a motion to approve the final order establishing district resolution.
As printed.
As printed, yes, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have to hold the board on this one?
This one you can do it just as a vote. The next one you'll have to do a roll call.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Oppose?
No.
Okay.
It's the same one I wrote last time.
Okay, the second resolution that is before you is what's known as a bond resolution. It authorizes the town to issue serial bonds for the funding of the project with a maximum amount of $10,200,000.
Just note there's a typo in that, in your heading. You're missing a zero.
We will pen that in.
Just pen that in.
So it's appropriating $10,200,000. And this resolution goes through and it recites again many of the things that we've gone over, but the purpose of this resolution is to actually authorize the issuance of these bonds.
Okay, so we need a motion?
In a motion and a second, this is a roll call vote.
Sure.
Well, I know we're gonna vote no on this. No, no on this.
It was the same thing, that was with the original plan with the,
That was just to combine the districts. Had nothing to do with engineering.
and it says right here, consider construction installation of 43,800 linear feet of new water line replacement.
Sorry.
It's right on the first page.
Councilman Guyton, the establishment of the water district and the project are being done as one
One unit,
proceeding.
yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the bond resolution for the town of Lewiston, New York, adopted September 25th, appropriating $10,200,000 for the establishment of the town of Lewiston Water District and construction of the water system therein, and authorizing the issuance of bonds in the principal amount of $10,200,000 to finance that appropriation and amendment.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Guyton.
Roll call vote.
And a roll call vote.
Councilman Bax?
Aye.
Councilwoman Stretto? Aye. Councilman Guyton?
Yes.
Councilman Morial?
No.
And Supervisor Brecker?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Engineering.
The only thing I have just to bring up to the board's attention.
Microphone, please.
Okay, I just have one item to bring to the board's attention. I've been contacted by representatives of the New York Power Authority. They're interested in putting a fire hydrant off a military road which will serve their guardhouse. And they have requested.
Where's that? I'm sorry?
It's off of,
Reservoir State Park.
Yeah, guardhouse there, the guardhouse, behind the fence, big boulders in front of it. There's a guardhouse there, they want to put a fire hydrant in front of it, to service that location. They have requested, due to our knowledge, being the town's knowledge, and in particular, this particular pipe, which we have to tap, and once we have to do on the circle, Power Authority has requested that the town undertake that project, okay, and give them a turnkey installation, upon which they will reimburse the town for its efforts and its costs, in connection with that installation of the fire hydrant. So, just wanted to bring it to your attention. I don't know how much it's gonna cost yet, but we would have to go out and procure bids and get an estimate. I get that approved by the Power Authority before I brought it back in front of the town board.
So it would be a benefit to our firefighters to have that.
Yes.
fire hydrant in that location.
There's nothing else on that side.
The two fires I've responded to up there in my law enforcement career were on that side. We're in that generator area or whatever, the turbine area. Yeah, so we would be the fire.
Want authorization to move ahead?
At this point, it's really just kind of for the board's information. Again, I don't know how much it's gonna cost. If it's okay with the board, I'll advance the design. It's not gonna be very much. It's 80 feet of pipe and a connection, so it's nothing extraordinary.
Our highway department will do hire.
Yeah.
You said we hire.
I've spoken with Mike Townsend, and yes, he would prefer that we just hire a contractor to get that done.
Reimbursed.
And it would be a reimbursable cost to the power bill.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's it.
Yep. And finance.
I have two budget adjustments that we need to do. One of the things too, I wanted to point out that we are staying on these budgets. It used to be we do them all at the end of the year, but by law, we're supposed to have the budget adjustment done before the expenditure is actually paid for. And that's why we're doing these and keeping up and doing them on an ongoing basis instead of, that's why you hear my voice a lot more than normal. There's two budget adjustments I need to do. I need to increase for the park and recreation, for the concessions portion of his program. We need to increase the budget on the revenue and increase the budget on the concessions. The net effect on the bottom line of the budget is zero. But he's made more money, but their expenditures were a little higher because they generated a lot more revenue. So we need to make that adjustment for $5,000. In addition to that, the highway is asking that we take $22,000 out of the seasonal help since they've all finished up and are gone, and add that to his machinery contractual, because he's had a lot of machinery repairs and it's been a lot more expensive than what he'd originally planned. So we're gonna clean out, or take the $22,000 out of the seasonal help and put it into the machinery contractual. And so I've given you and Donna the detail of that transaction that they're both requesting.
So move as printed budget revision and list date September 25th, 2017, time 9:20:45 a.m. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Mr. Supervisor, before you move it, Marty, would you please meet with Donna and find some money to buy us a couple more microphones?
It's in the budget for 2018.
I don't want to wait. See if there's any money left over in one of those accounts that we can move ahead before the end of the year.
We could do it out of our contingency fund and the A fund as a contingency fund.
There should be two mics over here, two mics over there. Give her that authority.
Okay, we'll do that.
And I want a mic that amplifies my voice.
I was gonna say,
Just leave it, might get into putting in a new
yeah, it's not
box
just,
under there, it's only has so many channels. Just so you know.
it may not be as cheap as you think it is. We will pursue and find out what the solution is and get back to you.
Is there a mic that makes it sound smarter, though?
That might be out of luck.
I'd like a mic that makes me look better, too.
We will hopefully find an answer.
A big mic. Real big mic.
So is that it, Marty, for finance?
No, we got one more thing. Technically, we have a bill from Conduct that is not subject to post-audit qualifications to do a post-audit, but it is very late. It was actually due on July 1st. It is something, it's for $364.10. It's in the budget and everything else. It's just that with Bart Joseph being off and they had problems and it just got past us. And we'd really like to pay that post-audit, but we'd like you to approve that we do that.
Can we just include it as a post-audit? Or it
Well,
doesn't qualify?
technically, the budget or approval needs to be there before we write the check, because it doesn't qualify as a post-audit technically.
Rob, you want to add that to your?
Yeah, we could, within, how much is the amount?
It's another $364.10.
Is that would be in the post audit or the?
It's in the post-audit.
Okay. I'd like to add an additional post audit for $364.10.
Second.
To, what's the name of the firm?
Conduct.
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 We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
And I believe that's it. Oh, no, one more thing. The budget meeting is scheduled for October
Fifth.
5th. You guys have all been notified of the times and all, and I'm assuming that everybody's going to be here except for Mr. Guyven. But I just want to point out that we need you guys here, so if you can't, we need to know right away. The other date that we had set up tentatively was October 12th for the date for the nonprofits to present their case for their budgets, or any department head that can't come on the 5th would fall into that.
Is that a flexible date, or is it?
Well, that's
tough on my end, but I'll make it work.
That's what I needed to know, whether, now we can maybe move it, because the nonprofits, were not planning on cutting them. They are staying the same as last year. I haven't, the requests were all within that framework that we got from the board, from those nonprofits. So, hopefully that discussion can be done very quickly. I don't know if you want to come in, start your meeting like a couple hours earlier,
Well,
or
what we could do
it's at
is,
6 o'clock.
yeah, our meeting's at 6 o'clock on the 12th.
You can do it as part of it, but.
Or we can set up with them at 5, an hour early. Or we could reach out to them. That's not anything we have to
Yeah,
decide right now. Yeah,
that's good.
See any connection.
right. Yeah. Marty, I'll reach out to them and see if the 12th at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock would work, because it'd be right before our meeting.
Right.
Okay.
I think that if you did it at 4 o'clock, you could probably get them all in.
Okay.
Marty,
Okay.
is there going to be a time that we're going to need a quorum to actually take action? Or can we just,
I mean, there is, other than Donna will present the board on, or the budget on the 5th to the
So
board.
I have to have a quorum on
we have to,
October 5th.
So she-
9 o'clock?
At 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right,
Because that's when the budget is presented.
Right.
which you will have the budget before then.
And then any time during the day that if they make decisions based on adjustments, make adjustments, they can be held to a time where there's a quorum.
Well, the preliminary budget won't be approved until the next board meeting. So, this is really to inform and all that. Which, by the way, I want to document the fact that I've had detailed discussions, because Mr. Guyven will not be there, that we have gone through the budget in detail with him, and he is up to date and knows what's going on with that budget. I think it's
Welcome
just
here on
little,
Saturdays.
maybe.
So there's 9 o'clock, you have to have a quorum.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Bax, are you planning on attending on October?
Yeah. I think everybody else.
I have
brings
a
it
clearance
to
at
you.
9 to 9:30, but I will try to push that off as late as I can, so I can be here at least at 9 o'clock, and I'll be back.
Okay. Is that it, Marty?
That's it.
Okay. Moving on to Councilman Bax, the sewer credit Conway.
I have a request for a credit of $53.15 from Mike and Sue Conway of 706 Sarah Court, which does comply or meet with our protocol and our policy, so I would make a motion to credit the Conways $53.15 for the sewer portion of their water bill.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Councilwoman Sorretto? Councilman Guyver?
Per grass cutting law, there's 28 parcels that the town cuts the grass. Total fee for the cuttings as of today is $5,418.75. There's also a $100 administration fee per parcel, totaling $2,800. Requested that the fee and administration fee be placed on taxes of those 28 parcels for 2017.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
I was just noting that that's down from last year and years past. What do we usually have?
We've been up 10, 12,000 in the past.
That's what I thought.
But I think the whole reason for that is people are starting to get glued into the fact that they need to cut their grass.
Well, that's a testament to your work too. Thank you for that. That's great.
Well, that's the whole point, the
Right.
$100 administration.
Yep.
And I'd be happy if it was zero.
Right. Well, we're getting there.
Okay, and then,
Still want to talk about it.
Secretary?
We have a
Yeah, we'll table on that, right?
We have a need for an environmental secretary, and I've asked Ryan Greasy to investigate it because in the past, we've had a town employee cover that position. We have no town employee available to do so. We might have to seek outside help, and we just have to be able to determine how to pay that person and how to give them access to the building. Hopefully, we're trying to work something else out with a town employee. Mr. Supervisor, do you have input for that?
No, there was some conversation, and she talked about possibly coming in on a Saturday to doing the meeting minutes. I know that was a problem of doing the minutes while she was still trying to do her other job descriptions, but
Is it possible we could look at
I can talk to her again.
But Ryan, will you check out how we could go about doing that?
I'll look into it.
Okay,
It would be part-time, only contractual.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay, and thank you. Resident statements, Nancy Correa.
Nancy Correa, 439 Riverwalk Drive. You know, I have to commend the board in general, and especially Mr. Morial. You must have done an awful lot of homework to bring up the questions that you did on the Rubino Brothers project. And I also want to thank Mr. Bax for requesting it to be tabled so that you could visit the site again with Mr. Morial. I mean, this should be done for each and every development that comes before you. I have often spoken to you about whether or not we need more housing in the town. Mr. Morial, you brought up, I think it was 245
Approximately.
approximate homes yet to be built.
Land that's available for, yes.
Well, I'm asking how many, and perhaps not at right now to receive an answer, but how many units of houses still have to be built on approved projects that haven't been built? Because that makes a lot of difference when you're considering approving new housing projects. If there are approved developments that haven't yet completed their entire development, then that's why I asked for a moratorium at the previous work session meeting for you to consider whether or not there really is a need. Mr. Rubino said there's a need because his phone is ringing. Well, do you folks know whether or not there really is a need? And I think that's a consideration that deserves serious looking into. My other concern you addressed, Mr. Guyman. I was looking for minutes of the Environmental Commission. I don't think I've seen them recently, so thank you for bringing that up. That's an important commission, and when people want to know what's going on and they can't attend the meeting, we refer to minutes, so thank you. And as a whole, I think that the department that is headed by Tim Masters is doing a fantastic job. Anytime I have questions, although I have to foil, I get my answers. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And your staff is wonderful. So thank you very much for this opportunity and for also looking into more mics. By the way, have you received the notice for this coming Wednesday from the Buffalo Niagara Coalition for Open Government? Mr. Freeman will be attending an event this Wednesday, the 27th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the museum, Buffalo Museum. He will be there to make a presentation and talk about open government and answer any questions. And the invitation is extended to everyone. There's no cost. And a special invitation from me to Mr. Parisi. We spoke about that as far as what needs to be included in the request for executive sessions. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Greer. Would anybody else like to speak? Yeah, Paula Glasgow.
So a couple of things that I want to bring up with regards to Bronson Drive. and kind of Nancy kind of touched on it with regards to Mr. Rubino and the phone's ringing off the hook. Mr. Morial asked at the last meeting if there was a study done for housing. And the engineer just turned him down flat and said that was personal information. If the phones are ringing off the hook, why can't we have that information? I don't think that's privileged information. If you have phones ringing off the hook, you would give that information freely. Saying, here, this is evidence. This is evidence that this is a controversial development. This is evidence that our phones are ringing off the hook. So I wish you would pursue that about that study.
I think what he
Rob
said,
made
I think
a
what he
good-
said was it was proprietary, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
what he
well,
said?
it's
Not personal.
privileged proprietary. But I mean, that would be evidence to that statement. The gated entrance, the Lemke development has a gated entrance. The thing that concerned me.
Which one, I'm sorry, which one's the Lemke?
That's the one that goes on Bronson Drive on the other side.
Okay.
It
That's
concerned
before
me
my time.
because I was under the impression that there would be another road coming into Bronson. So you would have all this traffic coming from one development that you're proposing and then another one, which is gated right now. But I understand that that's only to be opened by the firemen. And if I understood Mr. Catalano, that I guess that was grandfathered in, that he doesn't need an egress or an ingress because it's covered by New York state law? Am I under the right impression there?
When it was built, it was up to code
It was up to code. So it was still covered by the egress and the ingress.
at that time. If it were to be redeveloped now, it would have to comply.
Okay, so everything's copacetic there with regards to that. So there will not be any other additional traffic coming in onto Bronson?
Not through there.
Okay, not through there. Because there's two, there's the gated one that the firemen have a lock to, and then there's two like, if you go down a little further, it says no trespassing or whatever, there's like guardrails. I don't know what they're doing there.
There's like 5 total phases for Country Club Trail.
Yeah,
And ultimately, that would have been a fully developed 5-phase subdivision, but the wheels fell off it, so, I don't think anybody can sit here today and say it will never develop. But as of right now, there isn't any plans to pick it up and move it forward.
so in the future, if they decide to develop it, they would come back here and they would ask for approval for their redevelopment, and the possibility exists that there will be additional traffic coming onto Bronson Drive.
Never say never, right?
So you have to consider that, gentlemen and lady. I mean, you got school buses and everything else. You're going to have 107 vehicles times 2, plus you're going to have the Lemke development coming onto that main thoroughfare. So that's a good consideration. The other thing is a gentleman, I don't think he's here tonight. If he is, I apologize to him. He brought up the fact about the traffic study, about Upper Mountain Road, and that one of the roads were going to be coming out right on the side of his property. That needs to be addressed. He's got a problem. You need to address that. You also need to address the fact that if you go forward with this project and you prove it and that road comes out of Bronson, people are going to be coming right out and headlights are going to be going squarely into a house right across the street. Everybody's talking about putting the buffers on either side for Mr. Domino, but nobody is speaking about those people that those headlights are going to hit them squarely.
I believe we discussed it.
He's the wrong guy.
Those were the
He's
evergreens.
the wrong guy.
Rubino said he didn't even have the right guy's name. It's Mr. Ball that lives directly
Who he
across.
referred to as Joe,
Right,
not the same guy.
not the same guy. Joe Domino
So-
lives,
He's the
where
one
the
that's
side.
getting he's the one
Right.
that's getting the.
But it was it was discussed, but go ahead,
But
Paul.
like I said, you need to, I know if I lived in that house, I wouldn't want, if I'm sitting there, having headlights going in my front of my house, that's not a good thing. It's not a good quality of life. So you need to address that. You need to address the Upper Mountain Road issue that the gentleman brought. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing. Just as an aside, 9 o'clock in the morning to present a multi-million-dollar budget. It's not very good.
I believe we plan on going all day, don't we?
Yeah, but people go to work, people go to school. That's not very transparent, guys. 9 o'clock in the morning. We presented this budget at 6 o'clock in the evening so that people can be notified of this. People go to work at 9 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Bax has already said he's got a conflict.
Thank you, Pauline. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay. Yeah. Can I get a motion for executive session?
To executive session for potential litigation with potential of coming out with action.
Yes. Seconded. All in favor? Aye. I'd like to thank everybody who came out tonight. If you're going to be leaving, that spoke either for or against the project. And real quick, let me go over the upcoming boards commission meetings. Budget discussion, department heads, October 5th at 9 a.m. Town hall office is closed on Columbus Day, October 9th. Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, October 9th. The work session will be October 12th at 6 p.m., which is a Thursday, which we've scheduled one public hearing for that night. Environmental Commission on October 10th at 7 p.m. Zoning Board of Appeals, October 12th at 7 p.m. Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, October 18th at 7 p.m. Planning Board, October 19th at 6:30 p.m. And the regular town board meeting will be on October 23rd at 6 p.m. There's nothing on the back.
Just discussion. Donna, if the board met on Wednesday, the 4th, at 6 o'clock, and just accepted the budget, the meeting could take 5 minutes when the budget public. You know,
There's court that night. Well, it's a Wednesday night, right?
but we leave it, because my recollection, all that was, we just had a brief meeting, we were handed the budget, we took it home, we reviewed it, we came back in, we started going over the department heads. Is that a possibility?
I mean, you're the board, you can do what you want.
Well, there's always those clocks in here. What we do.
I mean, it's court.
There's court on that night. I mean,
Say no.
there's,
You can do it in your office, it's just a matter of Donna hands us the budget, presented, right? And then it's part of the record, and we move from there.
I'll make that motion.
It's the supervisor calls the meeting.
well, you got October 5th. What day were you saying?
She has to publish it. Brian,
She should have to give notice of a special meeting.
is there anything that keeps that budget from being published before it's presented to the board?
I don't know you said you can't do it traditionally, it's.
I mean, it's a mere formality of handing it out. It's like, I'm planning on that budget being available as of the 1st. So, I mean, you know, I have no problems with, in fact, I really hope it will be out by the 27th. So I'm not sure what the legality of, before we publish it, does it have to be presented to the board, or can we put it on the website?
It's
and start looking at it?
it's not the tentative budget until it's.
Town law says,
Yeah.
section 106, that the budget, the tentative budget must be presented either at a special or regular meeting of the town board.
Right.
That's the wordage,
Right.
okay? So
Right.
You're
So
right.
the 5th qualifies that, but I'm saying that to have it available before
Okay.
that.
But it can
Let's-
be available before.
Yeah.
Well, then, I'll make a motion to have our budget discussion department heads on October 4th for the presentation of the budget at 5 p.m.
Wait, the departments are set for the 5th.
Well, that's the one she's complaining
No, it's just a
about.
matter, no, present the budget to the board.
I'm not complaining, Mr. Supervisor.
Well, I apologize for the use of the word complain.
Clarification.
Yeah, the clarification. So we're still going to do the 5th.
Yes, at 9 o'clock. If he doesn't have to rush in from his
Okay. So we'll do the presentation of the budget on October 4th at 5 p.m. in my office. Open to the public.
Do it on the 1st
And it'd be available on the 1st.
Well,
The first is a Sunday.
or the 2nd.
Second.
Okay.
You gotta get down enough time to post the
Right,
special meeting.
right. How many days does she need?
5.
Okay.
We're set for October 4th at 5 p.m.
It doesn't have to be at a time when we call it for this meeting, because it'll be there.
Okay.
So we can present the budget, whatever time is convenient.
Let's do it, let's do it on the, okay, October 2nd at 5 o'clock, my office.
It's October 2nd.
Yeah, at 5 o'clock, it's a Monday night. That'll be the presentation of the budget.
Special going. Now that way, in case there's any other business that you have to address, you have a, we just have to do it.
Okay, and then we'll still have our budget discussions on October 5th. Okay.
Absolutely.
So move to adjourn to executive session. Oh,
Second and second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay. So now we'll move to executive session.